Keep it going, keep it going.
What's up? What's going on? Wow. I was backstage for that whole speech. I've learned so much. I think I was supposed to come on like 45 minutes ago. Adrian and I back there, like taking notes. Everyone's gonna be my partner after this. I am totally so fucking psyched. Thank you very much to Mark and Anthony, everyone at AIME for bringing me out here. And I just have to say, kind of before we get started, this is like a genius event. You know, like there is no better place to bring a bunch of commission brokers than the Bellagio at Las Vegas. Right? Like I was just listening to this whole speech. It's like, you better take what we say today and go back and you're gonna crush it on Monday and change your life. I'm like, fuck yeah, they will. We're all gonna be broke. You know? Closed a deal yesterday because when you're commissioned, you don't go to, we don't have to talk about gambling the whole time, but when you're commissioned, you don't go to the casino and you're not thinking about like, oh, your bi-weekly paycheck. You're like, okay, that loan closed. I could always do another deal next week. Right? Like that's how I spend my money. I'm like, all right, I just made 50 grand over here. I guess I'll just have to work a little bit harder for the next 50, right? Ridiculous. I'm not a degenerate gambler, by the way. I don't want you to think that I am. When I come here, I lose all my money, and it's really, really, really terrible. So I literally flew in right here from New York this morning. It took 5.5 hours to get here, came, and right after this, I go right back to New York City because this place is a trigger for brokers like me. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Actually, mortgage brokers are honestly my best friends, right? I don't know if everyone here has seen $1 Million Listing New York, or if you don't know who I am. That's at least 17 people. But I'm a real estate broker in New York City. I got into the business in 2008, literally the day that Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy. That was my first day. And if you've been in the business for a long time, you know, it just looks like that was a bad day, right? But for me, it was actually a pretty good day because it kind of set the road for the rest of my career. And I was completely broke when I was getting into it, and I was trying to figure out what to do. And I was like a hand model before. And anyway, we don't have time to go through that whole thing. Actually, you know, mortgage brokers are my best friends. One of my best friends, his name is Scott. He's an independent mortgage broker in New York City. And he's the guy I go to all the time for like the impossible deals. Right, like the crazy, crazy deals where people like they have unique forms of income, they need to close right away. I call up Scott all the time. Scott's like my boy. I call him up like, listen, I've got this guy, he needs to close quickly, or I've got this guy, I have no idea where he makes his money, or I've got this guy, I've been working with him for a year, he is the worst. I'm now gonna introduce him to you. You could do it. Actually, at the beginning of the year, I got an email from a client. His name was Wang, W-E-N-G. He emailed me and he said, hey, my name is Wang. I want to make sure, is this Ryan Serhant, the real estate guy from YouTube? And I was like, yes. Yes, I am now that guy. It used to be that people watched me on Bravo on television, but now so many people don't have cable anymore. Now I've got this whole bunch of clients who come from YouTube, which is totally nuts. And I only started YouTube like a year, almost 2 years ago, January 2018. And now I get these emails from people. They see me on YouTube. And at the beginning of the year, I put out a video because I named a neighborhood in West Chelsea, if you know New York, if you've heard of Hudson Yards. Actually where Gary Vee's office is, Hudson Yards. And then you've got Chelsea. And then you've got this weird area between 23rd Street and 30th Street on the west side of Manhattan, between 10th Avenue and the West Side Highway, that is like no man's land. It's kind of this weird little area. Some people think it's Chelsea. It's West Chelsea. It's not really Hudson Yards. And I had a building to sell there. I got a building, an assignment, 550 West 29th Street. And I had no idea how I was going to sell it because it's hard. The market's tough in New York. Interest rates are super low, but that doesn't help buyers at all because there's no urgency whatsoever to buy. And I was like, what am I going to do? So I figured, you know what? I'll just reinvent the neighborhood. This is now no longer Chelsea. This is not West Chelsea. This is south of Hudson Yards. Just like Soho is south of Houston, south of Hudson Yards. We're going to call it S-O-H-Y, and that is so high. That is now the neighborhood, and that's what I'm going to call it. And I called the building. Yeah. So I called the building Shanghai Condos. I just put it out there. I'm like, you know what? Branding, it's all kind of a lot of bullshit. So I'm just going to put it out there, and if it works, it works. If it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't stick, it doesn't stick. There's still an address, okay? Branding is really just consistency, pushing it out there over and over. Personal branding is your reputation, right? Making sure that your reputation is the same over and over and over. So I just kept putting it out there. So high, so high, so high, so high, so high. We made these decals. If you watch $1 Million Listing, there was an episode on it this season, I think. And we made a video about it for the vlog. This is Adrian, my vlogger. Say hi to Adrian. I now have a vlogger. So weird. It's so weird. He's not weird. He's nice. But vlogging is so strange. And I put this video out. Anyway, so Wang emails me. He says, listen, I'd like to find an apartment. I rent near Hudson Yards. Can I come and see this place? I'm like, sure. Thank you, YouTube. Right? Thank you, YouTube. All I had to do is put out a video about naming a neighborhood, incoming clients. And this happens all the time. This is just kind of one guy. So I said, okay, let's talk. What are you looking for? He's a student. Right? He goes to NYU, he's young, from China. All he watches is YouTube, doesn't even have a TV in his entire apartment, kind of like everyone in New York under the age of 30. And he says, I want a place, my dad's gonna buy it for me, thinking the West Side, I don't know, 2, 3, 7 million, something like that. I'm like, all right, some of you scoff, but this is kind of a Tuesday for me in New York City, right? Especially for dads buying apartments for their kids. Like, okay, so we meet, he's a real kid, he's cool, way cooler than I am. He wants to see every apartment under the sun. And every time we go in there, he's texting his dad or texting his dad's associate, this guy named Tony Chow. And kind of FaceTiming and showing the views and showing the apartments. Anyway, he doesn't see anything he likes in his budget, and he keeps going back to his dad for approval. Like, can I go up? Can I go up? And he's paying cash, sorry. And his dad keeps saying, okay, at least I think that's what he's saying, can't understand it. And he gets approval to go up and go up and go up. And I'm like, you know what? There's this really cool apartment on 67th Street in Columbus. I know you want big views. You need like an extra big apartment because you need one room to be your virtual reality room and whatnot and all this stuff. Yeah. And we go up there, 111 West 67th Street, find an apartment. It's amazing, great apartment, asking $14 million. We negotiate it down to $11 million, and his dad buys it for him, right? $11 million apartment. We actually negotiated it during the Super Bowl this past year, and I was with my friend Scott, who's a mortgage broker, and I'm telling him the whole time, I'm like, dude, this is one of the craziest deals I've ever done. The guy buying the apartment and spending the money isn't even here. He's in China the whole time buying it for his kid. This is the luckiest kid ever. And we're both like, dude, we need dads like this. Right? This is just not fair. Anyway, so like good client that I got through YouTube, fast forward to June, and Wang calls me. Like, Ryan, we have a problem. Like, oh shit, what's the problem? It's like, no, it's a good problem. My dad now wants a place here. Like, thank you, YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. Like, okay, what's your dad want? Like, what's he looking for? He's like, oh, he wants an apartment, probably on the east side. He's older, somewhere between like $15 and $20 million. Like, okay, is your dad actually gonna come and see the apartment? No, probably not. He's too busy. He works in textiles or something. He's not gonna come here. I'll just come and we'll FaceTime him, right? Because that's what we do. It's 2019. With people who are foreign investors, I don't need to even have them here anymore. Now I can just FaceTime these crazy deals. So we start looking around again, like the whole process all over again, except now we're not looking for Wang. Now we're looking for his dad, whose name is Wing, okay? So now I'm running around, FaceTiming with Wang, looking at all these apartments on the east side, and he doesn't like them. And then the problem with the dad is dad's super busy, and he keeps kind of going MIA a little bit. And so we see something, and then I got to follow up and follow up and follow up and follow up on top of the son and on top of his business associate, Tony Chow. And if you've read my book, I read a book where basically the whole thing is just my secret sauce is the power of follow-up, follow through, and follow back. I will follow up with you until you die, right? That is literally what I do. That's what I do. I want to be top of mind for you anytime that your dad, Mr. Wing, is thinking about buying a cool apartment in New York City. Right? I want you to think of me. I want you to think of me when you're watching YouTube. I want you to think of me when you're at the bookstore. If you're listening to anything, I want you to think Ryan Serhant Real Estate so that I can get those incoming calls and emails that say, are you the guy that does real estate? Most people don't even know my first name. People stop me on the street and they're like, you're the real estate guy. right? I'm like, yeah, actually I am, right? That's why I do all this stuff. That's why I work so hard. Anyway, we look around for this apartment for Wing this entire time. Again, he's going to pay cash. Sorry. And eventually we find this building on Park Avenue, brand new construction, and he really, really likes it through FaceTime. And there's a unit, and the whole building's brand new, right? So everything's kind of available. Unit on the 20th floor, asking a little over $20 million, and we negotiate it down for $20 million, right? And then he disappears, vanishes. Wang just tells me, listen, my dad he's super busy, he's working all the time, don't worry about it, he wants the apartment, but he disappears. And now I've negotiated this deal, and I don't have anything to show for it, and the listing broker's all pissed off at me, he's like, I'm holding it for you, and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks go by, like 2 months go by, and I kind of am holding on to this apartment, because I know the guy's real, right? And my thing, kind of my brand, my personal reputation is I literally am willing to do anything for my clients. I will die for them, right? I will take a bullet for them. I will go above and beyond. That's kind of how I started at the beginning when I first got into the business. When Lehman Brothers crashed and all these other big brokers were too busy, I was the one who was hungry. I literally told a developer once I would tattoo the name of the building in my chest if that's what got me the project. And it did get me the project, and then I didn't have to tattoo, thank God. But it did, right? That level of commitment really, really, really worked. So I was holding on to the deal with dear, dear life. And then one night, 2 in the morning, I get a call from Wang. It's like, Ryan, sorry to wake you up. I'm like, yeah, no problem, Wang. What's going on? It's like, my dad is here. He wants to see the apartment. I'm like, okay, let's do it. I'm the real estate guy, and I will do anything it takes to close a deal, and it's a $20 million deal, and I've been waiting for this guy for 2 months, so let's go. And I look at my wife, and I'm like, you know what, I'll just text her where I'm going, no problem. It's totally weird. I'm going to hang out with Wang uptown. Everything's going to be fine. So I go up there. He's staying at the St. Regis. I get there, right, and I do kind of like my American thing. I always get somebody like a hamburger and French fries. Always works, now you know, right, little secret. I get there, and he's very, very upset. Right? He's super upset because he doesn't think the 20th floor is good enough for him. And he leaves tomorrow morning. I'm like, well, how come you didn't tell me that you were coming in ahead of time? Plus, we have a deal, and plus, we need to move forward. And Wang tells me through with Tony as well that he flew in just for one meeting, and he's still thinking about the apartment, but he's been a little bit upset. I'm like, you know what? Let's go see it. Let's go see it right now. I've got good relationships with everybody I work with, and so I call the listing broker 7 times until he actually wakes up, right? Because I feel like maybe he put do not disturb on, because a lot of people do that in the middle of the night. But I'm like, no, I'm going to fucking disturb the shit out of you right now. I've got this guy, and I need to wake him up, okay? Because I'm in the St. Regis right now. It's almost 3 in the morning, and we got to go and see this apartment. And I tell him, like, listen, I don't even need you to come. Don't worry about it. I know exactly what I'm doing. I just need access to the apartment, to the building. Can you give me access? And he begrudgingly says yes. So then me, Wang, and Tony Chow go from the St. Regis to this new building up on Park Avenue. Doorman is just totally bewildered. And I'm like, hey, just here for a showing. And we go up to the 20th floor, and we look around, and it's pitch black. I'm like, in this building, kind of the apartments are basically the same. They just get super, super, super expensive. And he doesn't like it, right? He doesn't like it. He doesn't think the view is good enough. Like, let's go upstairs. So we go to the 24th floor. Yeah, doesn't really like it that much. We keep going up and up and up. It's like 3:30 in the morning, 3:45 or so with all of us. And I'm just kind of standing in the background, kind of trying to talk so they can translate. Eventually, we go up to the 36th floor, asking $40 million. This one he really likes, obviously, because it's $40 million. Really likes it. He really, really likes it, but he doesn't look that happy, all right? One thing he is really happy about, and I'll never forget this, he goes to the window, and he turns to Tony, and then Tony comes back to me and says he really likes this because from here he can see his son in his apartment that he just paid $11 million for on the Upper West Side. I'm like, that's a good dad right there. Okay, so this is the one he wants, right? This is the one he wants. And he tells me, listen, at $40 million, he's not going to pay 40, so we're going to have to figure out how to negotiate this one. And through Tony, he tells me he's not going to pay cash, right? Good for you. And in my head, it's 3:45, almost 4 in the morning. I'm like, okay, not going to Bank of America on this one, right? Text Scott. Like, dude, remember when we were at the Super Bowl at the beginning of this year and this guy that found me on YouTube and I bought this kid's apartment for $11 million? Anyway, the dad's here. I'm kind of at this building on Park Avenue right now. I know it's super early in the morning. I'm not at the gym. I'm actually showing an apartment. Anyway, when you wake up, please call me because I need to put you in touch with this guy's business manager so that you can get him a loan because we're going to try to negotiate this deal. Now, funny enough, this apartment on the 36th floor has like 18-foot ceilings, and in this brand new building is by far the best unit in the entire building, and everybody wants it. And I know it sounds like a huge number, but there's a lot of rich people in the world, right? New York City is like this big. It's the whole reason I'm a real estate broker there. I've been around the world. I don't want to be a real estate broker anywhere else. Have you been to New York City, right? Why would I go anywhere else if I could just do deals in one building and just go up and down and up and down? Why would I ever want to get in a car and go to a fucking cul-de-sac? Why would I ever do that? Anyway, so I go to the listing broker in the morning. I'm like, listen, thanks for getting us in last night. I'm still awake, by the way. He really wants the 36th floor. And he says, awesome, so does somebody else. I'm like, okay, well, we are going to make an offer of $35 million. So we made an offer of 35. We actually negotiated it to 36, which is a good chunk down from 40. But we need financing, right? But Scott says he can get it done. He just needs the cooperation of Wing and Tony and his whole team. And the listing broker's telling me, listen, we have somebody else who wants this, who's willing to pay cash. But I'll be honest with you, if you can get your guy to sign a contract really, really quickly, I'm going to go with you, right? Because I know you, Ryan, and we have a relationship, and you know you've helped me before on other deals. That's what I do in New York. I want to work with every single real estate broker, banker, mortgage broker possible, so that when I'm in these ridiculously crazy moments, right, everybody will want to work with me and be nice, and we can try to get deals done together. So I go back to Wing, and I go back to Tony. I'm like, listen, we've got to move really, really, really quickly. But he needs this loan, and he's not comfortable signing the contract, apparently, until he knows that he can actually get the loan, obviously, right? And Scott, I'm like, Scott, can you get this done? And he's like, yeah, but I just need paperwork. I need to verify the guy. Are his funds in the United States? Are his funds totally over there? Is he going to put down at least 50%? He said yes. But he's like, I can't like just give you my word. I'm like, Scott, you've never let me down before. You are my mortgage broker for life. We've been through a lot together. Can you get this done? And he looks at me, and he's never underpromised, right? And he says, yes. Knowing who he is, knowing what he's bought here, we will figure out a way to get this done. I'm like, okay. So I call the listing broker again. I'm like, okay, listen, we're good to go. I call back to Wing, and I go to Tony. Like, we can get this deal done. You're going to get the loan. Just need you to sign the contract. They say, well, we'll sign the contract, but we're not going to send the deposit until we know we can get the loan. I'm like, mother of fucking... I go back to the listing agent. I'm like, listen, we need to get this deal done. It's the only one he's going to buy, and I'm not going to lose a $36 million deal just because I need like a few extra days to get him comfortable with the fact that he's going to get this loan. He's like, well, I don't know what to tell you, Ryan. The developer's going to take the other deal. The other deal's cash, and I told you you only have a certain amount of time. I'm like, okay, I'm moving forward. How much time do I have? He's like, you need to get this deal done by the end of the day. And I'm like, motherfucker. Okay, so Wing, Tony, I need you to sign the contract today, and don't worry about the down payment just yet. I'm going to get you comfortable with the loan, but we can't lose this apartment. I've got all my faith in Scott, right? Scott, we're going to get this done. So they say, okay. They sign the contract, send it over. I then call back to the listing broker and I'm like, listen, I've got a signed contract for you, and I'm going to get you the down payment, but he doesn't want to do 10% anymore. He's only going to do 5%, and you've got to be okay with that, but you'll have a signed contract today for a $36 million apartment. You okay with that? And he like, comes back to me. He's blah, 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 blah. Fine. If we can have the money in the next 2 hours. I say, fine. Hang up the phone. Call my banker. Say, listen, I need $1.8 million. That's 5% of a 10% deposit wired right now, right? Because I'm going to hold on to this apartment because I will go above and beyond for all of my clients. My banker, I couldn't really hear what he was saying on the other line. Because I was like, I had a lot of thoughts going through my head, but I'm pretty sure it was something like, what? I'm like, don't worry about it. So 2 hours later, we were officially in contract on this apartment for $36 million, where technically I was in contract on behalf of Wing through his son Wang and his kind of second man, Tony Chow, right? Through the fucking love of God for my mortgage broker, Scott, who better get this deal done. Otherwise, I'm going to be at $1.8 million because there's no way this guy's actually going to go forward. And then Wing just kind of goes MIA, right? Yeah. So Wing goes MIA. Have you ever had a client that just goes MIA? You do all this work, right? And all of a sudden they ghost you? Yeah. It's a little bit tough when they're in China, which is a little bit far. Right? So I keep following up. Follow up in every single way I know how. Literally, I'm thinking, like, you know what? I'm going to learn the language, and I'm going to figure this out. Like, literally, for $1.8 million, I'm going to figure this out. So I get that, like, Mondly app, and I'm, like, trying to figure this whole thing out. I don't even know Greek, and my wife is Greek, my baby's Greek, my mother-in-law is Greek. I've never, for them, have I ever tried to learn Greek. For Wing, I literally started to try to learn Chinese. Okay? And he goes completely MIA, and I go to his son. I'm like, listen, we're in contract right now with my money, right? We've got to figure this out. Your dad has to close. He signed a contract. He's like, listen, but we just got to make sure the loan can go through. I'm like, yeah, but your dad needs to respond to the emails and the phone calls to fill out the paperwork with Scott, who can actually get the deal done, right? That's kind of where we are. That's where we are. He's like, well, I don't know what else to tell you. What are you going to do? Just you can go see him. I'm like, Scott, you ever been to Shanghai? Scott's like, no, and I don't want to. I've got a lot of stuff going on. I'm like, okay, guess what? So I just bought you a ticket. We're going to Shanghai, right? We're going to figure this out, right? Real estate broker, mortgage broker, done deal, flight to Shanghai, right? So, we fly to Shanghai, right? Thank you, YouTube. So we get to Shanghai, and we get there on a Tuesday. It's early evening. I have a meeting set up, thank God, through Tony Chow to meet with Wing first thing in the morning the next day, on Wednesday, okay, to do all this stuff. So thank God he's actually listening. He's going to do it. So meet with Tony. We go there. There's a club in Shanghai, in like Puji. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's on like the one side of the river. It's called the AIME Club. And so we go there that night. He takes us to like the fake market. Have you ever been to China? Right, there's like a fake market where they have fake iPhones, fake this. They had like this Ferrari phone that I thought was really cool, so I bought a Ferrari phone. It's like a flip phone that looks like a Ferrari, whatever. Like Scott got one thing too. We like traded our numbers. Anyway, then we go to this club, the M Club, with Scott, with Tony Chow. It's crazy, complete insanity. If you've never been to a club in China, don't, right? Completely insane. And Tony Chow like runs the whole place. He runs everything. Like he literally parked his BMW up on the sidewalk and no one said anything to him. Right? That's like the type of people that we're rolling with. And he proceeds to get massively plastered. Super drunk. And we're just there. We're super tired, right? It's basically in our head like noon the next day or noon the previous day. I can't even remember. We're just sitting there, and all I want to do is like get my money back and also get this guy to officially get his deposit in and get all the paperwork signed to actually get this deal done. And Tony could care less. He's just so excited that we're here from America at M Club, and we're hanging out with him, and he's showing us off to all of his friends and getting super drunk. Eventually, I lose track of Scott. I don't even know like where he went, and got kind of nervous, like maybe I lost him with something. And then this club starts closing, and Tony is really drunk, and Tony wants to drive home. Now I'm like, dude, friends don't let friends drive drunk in China, right? So I go with Tony in his car that he parked on the sidewalk back to his house and drive with him. And I am just going to admit it here, he was impaired. But I didn't know what to do, and this deal was worth my life, right? If something happened to Tony Chow, like I can't, Wing would never even meet with me. How would he understand what I'm saying? So I go with him as he just kind of drives through. He blew right through a red light on that bridge that goes over the river, and I'm like, I want to see, what are you doing? He's like, no, it's okay. And I'm like, I don't think it's okay, but it's okay, fine. We go to his house. It's on this like massive golf course, craziness. He goes inside and completely passes out, right? I'm in the clothes that I wore on the airplane to get over there. Now I'm in a house on a golf course in Pudong, right, on the other side of the river, and my phone is completely dead, and I don't even know what to do. I don't know how to get out. I don't know if this guy's ever going to wake up. And with or without him, I've got to meet Wing the next morning because I have to get my money back and I have to do this deal. Also, holy shit, where is Scott? Like he's somewhere in the M Club or with someone, and how are we going to find him? Because we're in fucking Shanghai right now, right? The things that I do for clients, unbelievable. And I don't know what to do. I open his laptop. He's got a laptop. It's not, I can't write on this. I don't even know how to get onto it, right? For a minute there, and I'll admit it to you right now, I seriously thought about stealing his car. But then I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be able to read the street signs. Like, I don't know how to get back over there. I know we're staying at the W, and it's the big hotel with like the 2 things on top, and I don't really know what to do. And then, thank the Lord, my Ferrari phone rings. And I totally forgot about my Ferrari phone, and it rings, and I pick it up, and I'm like, hello? And Scott is on the other line. He's like, Ryan. I'm like, where are you? He's like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in China. I don't know. He's like, how are you going to make it? Are you this? It's like almost 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, dude, I'm with Tony Chow. He's passed out. I put him on his stomach in case he throws up. I learned that from college. Somewhere, I'm in Pudong, like, you have to come get me. I don't even know how to drive his car. I don't even know where he put the car keys. He's like, okay, I'll figure it out. I hear him on the other line, on the other end. And he's like, at the W Hotel, so clearly he's alive, which is great. And I hear him like yelling at the receptionist this whole time. And they're not like willing to help him. And the funniest thing I'll never forget, he's like, you have to help me. My boyfriend was kidnapped at the M Club. Please help me. And apparently that got them to help him. So someone else comes on the line. He's not my boyfriend. He's my mortgage broker, okay? Just so you all know. I'm married. Get someone else on the line, and I tell them where I am. They understand. Okay, they're like, oh, you're at this golf course, et cetera. So we figure out, basically, if I walk out of the golf course, follow past this tee, past that, I'll get to the clubhouse, and I go to the road, and I can flag down a taxi, which is what I did. And in the taxi, then got on the Ferrari phone, gave it to the receptionist at the W Hotel, told them to go to the W Hotel. They dropped me there. We got there. I showered really quickly. Didn't even have time to talk to Scott about what happened to me the night before or what happened to him. He looked kind of beat up, but we were ready to go because we had to go meet Wing to get my $1.8 million back because I was in contract for his apartment on Park Avenue. So we go. We make it on time. We go upstairs to Wing's office. We walk in, and who opens the door? Tony fucking Chow. Looks clean as a whistle. And I literally, all I wanted to do was wanted to punch him and then maybe kiss him, maybe hug him. But at the same time, I'm in my head, I'm like, how did you even get here? I just left you. And I was like, hey man, fun times last night. How'd you get here? So funny. He's like, always on time. Burned into my skull, always on time. He didn't even ask me how I left. He didn't even care. But we sit with Wing, we go through it. He signs off on the docs that he needs to sign off on. Thank God. I left that office with 2 checks, right? One to pay me back, and another one for the additional 5% to put him in 10% down payment on the contract on Park Avenue. We fly back. We both sleep the entire time, boyfriend and boyfriend. We get back. We are officially now in contract, which is great. Scott, somehow, some way, you'd have to ask him, gets him 50%, right, which is $18 million, and we close 37 days later. That is a pretty ordinary deal for me. And Scott will go down in the record books as literally the guy who saved my life. I will never forget that Ferrari phone ringing and me just being like, oh, thank God for the Ferrari phone. And my mortgage broker is the one who saved me that day. Clearly, Tony Chow would have saved me too and woken up, apparently, but I didn't know that. And without Scott, I wouldn't have got the deal done, right? Without YouTube, I never even would have met these clients. And without Sohai inventing that neighborhood and creating that brand, I never would have even had the video to put on YouTube to meet these clients in the first place. And kind of what I had to go through for that entire deal is just a super insane kind of way that I go above and beyond for all my clients. So when people ask me, okay, Ryan, well, how do you sell so much, right? Last year, I did just about $1 billion in sales, right? This year, I'll do 1.4, right? You have to clap for that. There's a lot of real estate agents. There's a lot of people who sell. There's a lot of people who do a lot of things, right? but I will follow up with everybody over and over and over and over, and I will go above and beyond. And that's my reputation. That actually is my brand, right? That's my brand. My brand is my reputation. Your brand is your reputation. And when people talk to me all the time about, oh, I don't know how to create brand, or oh, I don't know how to do content, and you were just told to do all this content all the time, it's somewhat overwhelming. You know, like how do I even come up with stuff to talk about? How do I even come up with stuff to put out there into the universe? What do I do? Like I'm just a broker, right? Brand is this big, vague idea for what you want people to know you by. That's really what it is, you know? And so your brand is your reputation. Your reputation is something you can actually control. And your ability to go above and beyond and not necessarily do the insane psycho things that I do, but to go above and beyond for your clients in a way that everybody else won't, to meet them when other people wouldn't, to pick up the call when you might be just a little bit too tired, to send that extra email, to do that extra thing, to get their kid that gift because you memorize when all of their kids' birthdays are, or you put them in your calendar, you know when their dog was born with the puppies, all that stuff. That's your reputation. And your reputation will then grow as the person who works harder and harder and harder than the next person. Like that's how I started. That's how I started. In 2008, my first deals were trying to figure out how to do loans in the first place. No real estate agent who gets in the business today in this market really has to understand how you all do your job. Because you guys are really, really great at it. And like everything is kind of okay at the moment, right? For now anyway. But when I started, and if you were in the business in 08, 09, 2010, like I remember going to Washington, D.C. with the building to get PERS approval, right? The first piece of press I ever got as a real estate agent was for a building, 99 John Street in the financial district. And I'll never forget it. I was the youngest sales director in New York City ever in history. I was 25 years old. And I took a photo just like this. And they put it in Bloomberg because I had gotten the building FHA approved to do FHA loans for a new condominium project in New York City, which had never been done before. Because I needed a way to separate the building from the rest of the crowd. And the way that I did that, because no one cared, real estate's real estate, brick and mortar, whatever, no one cares about designers, brands, this, that. It's like, you know what? I'm going to be the building where you can come in with 3.5% down. That's going to be my building. And everyone else is like, no, that's stupid, it's cheap, it's this. I'm like, yeah, but I'm actually going to sell, and that's all I care about. So we got FHA approval for a short period of time, and we were able to do a lot of deals between 3.5% and 5% down. And that extra little insurance money that people were paying every single month was worth it because they could actually be homeowners, right? And we weren't loaning to people that couldn't afford it. They just didn't have the down payment saved because you know what? Most of the clients we were selling to had student loans that were crushing them. And then the student loan crisis has now become this massive thing. So how do I sell around that, et cetera? I go above and beyond for all clients. And you know what's so insane? Like, I do that because it's 2019. Like 2019 enables me to be able to do this stuff. I know Gary just talked to you a lot about the future, and I know you're talking about and thinking about the future, but for me, like the fact that I could get clients to spend that kind of money because I invented a neighborhood in Chelsea, no one told me to do it. Everyone told me, honestly, that it was just stupid. And then I met someone through YouTube because then we run a little paid social behind it that introduced me to a whole nother world of clients, one that almost got me killed, but whatevs. Right? Like I can do that in 2019. And if I can do that in 2019, what wakes me up every day is imagine what I can do in 2020. Like next year is 2020. There are 2.5 months left in this decade. Isn't that crazy? Not just this year. Years go by all the time. Decades take a little bit longer. There are 2.5 months left in this decade. And I know everyone thinks the world is a crazy place right now. You turn on the news, all people talk about is how bad things are, right? Politics, the world, the economy, this is bad, that's bad, this is bad, this, oh my God, oh my God. You know why? Because people are addicted to misery. And fear is a pretty easy drug to swallow. You know what it was like in 1919? That was only 100 years ago. This time, 100 years ago in 1919, women couldn't vote. Alcohol was fucking illegal, right? World War I had just ended. They hadn't even gotten to the next one. Like that, in 1919, the big thing right then was silent films. Imagine what can happen in the next 100 years. Imagine what can happen next year. If we just do the things we say we're going to do, if we work on our reputation, if we do the follow-up that we say we can do, and we actually do it, and we go above and beyond for all of our clients, that's what I think about every day right now. How I'm going to build my business in 2020. I know how to sell. You know how to do loans. You know how to work for your clients. I don't have to tell you how to do that. But it's how do I increase my brand awareness through a positive reputation so that people, when they think real estate, guy that goes above and beyond, they think me. And if you do the same thing for you, I swear to you, 2020 is going to be your year. Thank you very much. Let's do questions. I thought maybe we'd take a little time and do like some Q&A. Yeah?
Absolutely. Ryan, thank you for your time. We're going to line some people up here for you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely. Our first question is from QB.
Ryan, oh man. So my brother's a big fan. He's right here in the front row, and he's like, you got to listen to this guy, Ryan Serhant. He's awesome. And I'm sorry to say, I'm officially a fan now.
Oh, thanks.
Not my thing. But anyway, so we call ourselves the Loan Brothers. We're in Orange County, and
nice.
We believe in being relationship driven over the transaction. We never put the transaction first. We put the relationship first.
Sure.
So it means that we have to share a lot of inauthenticities with our clients. We say like, hey, we're here to make money. Examples like that.
Yeah.
What's an inauthenticity that you'd like to share with us that you recently shared with a client, or maybe something more recently? And by the way, the one that you shared about being willing to learn Mandarin,
yeah,
and not being willing to learn, Greek for your family is pretty awesome. That's an inauthenticity. I thought that was pretty awesome. But what's another one?
I mean, I'm pretty authentic about my brutal honesty, to be honest. It's always kind of been a thing for me. If you've watched $1 Million Listing for a long time, I think the first couple years, people, there was definitely haters out there for me. And I remember my mom saying to me, like, Ryan, you need to be careful with the things you say because the things you think are funny are not funny to other people. But I honestly, I tell people all the time, I guess the best answer I have for your question, all my clients is, I don't work for you. I want to put this out there, right? Like, wing, I don't work for you. Okay? I also don't work for them. I work for the deal. That's it. You can steal that, use that. I tell my clients, 100%, I'm in your corner. I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to make this happen for you at the best possible price, at the best possible time and all that. But I don't work for you. I work for the deal. Without the deal, then we should just be friends, right? Let's just be friends. Let's hang out. Let's go to M Club and lose each other. Let's do all that. But I think that's what I would say. And it works, right? People ask me all the time, and they say, and I have an online sales course, right? It completely crushes it. It's the #1 selling online sales course for the entirety of 2019 across all platforms, which is totally insane, by the way. But people ask me all the time, they're like, listen, how do I close? I'm not a good closer. I don't know how to close. Because you're trying to close by asking for it at the end, It's awkward. It's weird. I can't do that. That'd be super strange, right? You close by setting the expectations up front. So I'll tell all my clients, listen, this is how we're going to work. This is how it goes. Okay? I'm confident in what I'm able to do. This is what our next steps are going to be. We're going to see apartments. We're going to show them. We're going to make offers on the ones you like the most. We're then going to make sure you can get pre-approved for that apartment, make sure the building can be approved. And then we're going to do this. We're going to make an offer, and then you'll close around this time. If they have any issues with that process, then maybe I'm not going to be able to close them. Right? But that way, I'm not just skirting around what we're all here to do, which is sell something and then talk about it later awkwardly. Right? That's why people have trouble closing. So I set those expectations early. Right? Yeah, no problem.
Thanks. Our next question is from Michelle.
Hey, Ryan. Thank you for being here with us today.
For sure.
So obviously, $1 Million Listing has helped your career, I would imagine.
Yep.
But taking that out of the equation, looking back at the beginning of your career, is there something that you would have changed or implemented earlier on to help guarantee your success, and why?
Yeah. I wouldn't have worked completely by myself, right? I think our jobs are a little bit different, but I think they're a lot the same. I didn't have a boss. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't read any books. I didn't take any classes. I was just by myself, which was really, really, really tough at the beginning, because I just didn't know what to do. Right? I'm an independent contractor. I am only as good as my 1099. Like I tell all my clients that, I tell my team members that, I tell anyone who's a broker that, the same thing. Like I'm not as good as the things that I sell. Who cares if you sold this or closed this? If you didn't make money from it, and it doesn't grow your lifestyle and grow your income, then it doesn't mean anything. So I'm only as good as my 1099. And at the beginning there, it was hard because if I had one appointment at 2 o'clock, then what do I do the rest of the day? And no one would tell me. I didn't know that, do I make calls at 8 a.m., 10? Who do I even call? What do I post ads on Craigslist? Like, what do I do? So if I could go back in time, I would have really taken advantage of more experienced people and not worried so much about like just myself as an independent agent, and would have made less money at the beginning, but would have learned more. So I would have partnered up with different people. Would have just said like, listen, let me run this open house for you. Let me do this. Let me be on your team. Right? I would have, as a broker, as a real estate agent in New York, I would have joined a team. That would have been really, really, really helpful to help me scale. Like, and that's what I do now. Like, I have a team of 62 agents, and there's no deal I do except for a handful that are just me. Everything I do is with another agent in some way, shape, or form. Every deal I do has different commission splits, different cuts, different this, different that, because I want to make sure that my volume is as massive as possible, and then I come in and out of deals where I need to. Right? Like, I very much am a quarterback of all deals, and it took me a long time to learn that. So I think if I could go back in time, I'd probably ask for help a lot more. Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan. Our next question is from Chastity.
Sure.
Hey, well, obviously, I had a different question, but you've answered it a couple of times over. I think you gave us some great advice that we could take back to our agents, because a lot of us coach our agents.
Yeah.
So I guess what I really want to know is, how often do you kind of reevaluate your mission statement and your goals?
Oh, my mission statement, probably yearly. Goals, probably daily.
Offhand? Like, do you know your mission statement? Couldn't you tell us?
No, I don't know what it is. I don't remember.
You
it.
and every one of us in this
Yeah,
room.
no, I have it printed on my door. I have it printed in my office. I know what the words are, right? I know it's about being relentless. I know it's about taking initiative. I know it's about having respect, but I couldn't repeat it to you right now. But my goals, they change all the time, and they kind of ebb and flow with the marketplace, which is super annoying, but it kind of is what it is. Yeah, exactly. But I change my goals all the time, but I look at them every day. Like, that's kind of like a big thing for me, is knowing kind of what I want to sell every single month, what I want the team to sell every month, and how are we going to get there? How are we going to sell that amount of apartments to get to that goal? Because I'm really honestly driven by a complete, utter fear of failure. And if I don't hit those goals, then I'm not going to get there. And for me, it's also public failure. Like, if I don't sell enough this year, people are going to write about it, right? And it's going to be on TV. Like, this season, if you watch $1 Million Listing, and you watch the season right now, was filmed a lot last year, right? The season takes us a year to film. And last year, especially kind of in November and December, the stock market sold off. It was a complete disaster in December. You know, it was like 800-point drops every day. And there was one day in December where I lost, I don't know, like $72 million in deals in one day. And that was like a shitty day. So, but that day, one of those days where it's like, I hate this business. This is insane. And it wasn't because deals were bad. The deals were good. It's just people get nervous. You know, like, there's, as much as I can talk about how much I want to have control over my reputation, control over this, control over the work, it's part of the reason that I do the crazy things that I do. Like, I'm willing to get on a plane and go to China for a client that I believe will actually hopefully close. I'm willing to upfront a down payment if I have to, because that's actually something I can control. I can't control what the stock market's going to do tomorrow and how that's then going to make 15 clients feel about the future. I can't control what's going to happen on the news that's going to make everybody think that New York is now a terrible place to buy in because the taxes are so high, you know? So I just focus a lot on the things that I can control and try to tie that to my goals as best I can.
Well, thanks for loving your broker brothers so much.
Of course, brokers are better.
Thanks. Our next question is from John.
Hey, Rye. Absolutely love the show.
Thanks, man.
I mean, my wife does. I kind of watch it too. But
you know how many people say that to me? You know how many guys will come up to me, and I know it's not you. They're like, "Hey, dude, my wife loves you. Can I take a photo?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then I walk away, and they grab my butt. You know?
Yeah. Okay, so I won't grab your butt later. It's cool. So you might not want to answer this, but we all know you and Frederick produce. That's great. But Luis, does that guy? I mean, does he actually close anything at all?
Yeah. I mean, he basically retired a little bit ago. The business is really, our business is so hard. For as good as our business can be, for both of us, right? As mortgage brokers and as real estate brokers. Like, what I love about it is that there's absolutely no ceiling. And no one's ever gonna come to us and say, you closed too much, right? No one's ever gonna say, you made too much money. Like, it's not gonna happen. I have a lot of friends who work in finance who do really, really well for the bank, and then at the end of the year, the bank comes to them and says, great year for you. Bank had not so good of a year. We can't reflect it in your bonus this year, but stick with it. We'll make it up to you next year. Like, that will never happen to us, right? Because we're our own independent contractors, and that roller coaster and how those dips can happen and those awful days get really, really tough on a lot of people. And I think that was tough on him, and I think he needed to take some time and go and do his thing. And he's so much happier now. Like, if you watch the show, he's back now a little bit, but now he's back in Puerto Rico raising his baby that he just had totally out of the blue, and like, doing his whole thing. And yeah, he still does. I just did a $40,000 a month rental with him last week at 111 Murray Street in Tribeca from a client he sold the apartment to, and he's negotiating it from the beach in Puerto Rico. Like, I envy his life a little bit. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for checking on Luis, though.
Our next question is from Lisa.
Hi.
Hi.
So you've recently become a father. Congratulations.
Thanks.
How are you handling the balance between family life and your career? What's changed?
I'm not. I'm not. There's no, it's not, and it's physically impossible, right? I try to as much as I can, but we were actually just talking about this. Like, the amount of footage he has and that $1 Million Listing has of me talking to Xena, that's my baby's name, through my phone and FaceTiming, like, is just, I mean, it's ridiculous. But I do the absolute best that I can, you know? And like, I grew up with a dad who worked really, really, really hard, and I resented it for a long time when I was a little kid. But now, it's such a huge part of who I am and in my DNA. Like, I don't know what it's like to not work hard. I don't know what it's like to not wake up early and give it your all and jump through hoops, because I remember distinctly watching my dad do it for his job. And I want to raise kids who look up to me. You know, I had a lot of friends who had dads who did not do that. I had friends dads who, you know, would sleep in on Fridays and take days off and do that. And it was like fun for them, but it wasn't a good influence on them now because I see what they're like now, right? And I think that if I can do anything for her, it's going to be to teach her that she's, you know, a strong, independent, awesome woman who can completely control the world and dominate. And as she can do it by her own accord through hard work, just like her dad did.
I love that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
That's awesome. Our next question is from Ada.
You spoke about branding. Gary Vee spoke about branding.
Yeah.
Personal branding.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what we do at our company.
Yeah.
We were connected with thousands of loan officers at Tego, and everyone's having trouble with going in front of the camera.
Yeah.
What do you suggest?
Yeah, super hard. Take an improv class, right? That's it. That is that's the exact answer. I wrote about it in the book. It really, really helped me. I'm a super shy introvert who's uncomfortable in front of large groups of people, right? But improv classes are super weird and uncomfortable, but that's what they're supposed to be. It's like going to the gym for your ability to be in front of the camera. And if you haven't, who here has ever taken an improv class? Like 4, right? I swear to you, like, if there are improv classes everywhere. They're easy, they're cheap, they're ridiculous. Everyone's an idiot in them. So like, it's not like you're being the awkward one. Take an improv class, go with a few people you work with, right? Be weird and awkward together. You're gonna bark like a dog on your back on the moon, like, and do all this weird stuff, but it's gonna totally open you up so that going in front of the camera to talk about doing loans is not gonna be so weird. And I'm telling you, it'll just become part of your muscle memory, and it'll open you up and make you more comfortable. And then you're gonna do it again, and then you're gonna do it again. Like, that is it. That is the answer. That's how you do it. And repetition, right? Consistency. And no one is good in front of a camera for the first time. You just gotta keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, because you have to remember, and I talked to a lot of mortgage brokers, a lot of commercial real estate brokers about this, a lot of residential brokers, like, yeah, dude, I do social media all the time, but no one cares. It doesn't do anything. And then I look and see what they're doing, and it's like just business stuff, right? It's just like photos of houses or photos of buildings or like photos of you with like a client at a closing over and over and over, and like no one cares, right? What people care about is working with you personally and knowing you personally. The best part about social and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all this stuff, and I'm not even nearly the best at it, is that people get to know me in a passive way so that when they're ready to do something with real estate, they think, oh, that real estate guy, Ryan, who just had the baby and just did this. Yeah, I feel like I know him. So that when I meet them, 90% of my job on that first impression is already done. Now I just have to show them that I am actually who I say I am through all these different mediums. I'm a good guy, and I'm not completely insane, right? And it goes a long, long way. So consistency, getting used to it, and just putting it out there and not worrying about what people say, what they do. Like that's like when we started the blog, no one gave a shit. No one cared, right? Like I do reality TV. Why do I already do a vlog? One company wrote about it, and they're like, Ryan Serhant, the most vain broker in the history of the world, gets more vain. Like that is what it was. I was like, all right, sure, why not? And then slowly but surely, people started paying attention to it. And I would say from all the subscribers that I have on YouTube, I don't know, Adrian would know this better, maybe 5% know me from $1 Million Listing. The rest are all new people that I've met who are into the content who don't have TV, because that's what YouTube is. And that's been like my biggest way of driving new business. More people are gonna stop me when I walk back to my room in the Bellagio out here from YouTube than they ever will from $1 Million Listing now. Right? It's crazy. It's insane. Like I've been on that show on national television since 2012. It gets watched or was watched at one time by 25 million people around the world. Everyone who stops me on the street stops me because of YouTube. Because it's quick. I can put it out all the time. I put it out once a week. I don't put it out every day. Right? I put it out once a week and people see it. But yeah, that's my long-winded answer to saying improv consistency. Yeah, of course.
Thanks. Our next question is from William.
Hey, Ryan, thank you for coming.
Yeah, of course.
So I, as a broker, when I meet a new realtor,
Yeah.
And I tell them about all the crazy different programs we have, non-QM, bank statements, lower credit scores, the first deal they usually send is their worst client. They want lower credit, no money, has had 6 different jobs in the past 12 months.
Yeah. What's wrong with that guy?
So my question to you is, you said you called Scott when you had this deal, and you call him for your most difficult deals.
Yeah.
I have a 2-part question. How did you meet Scott? And the ones that are not so difficult, where do you send them?
Good question. I met Scott through a really difficult deal. Like I think that's how I meet a lot of the partners that I work with, right? Because for the most part, when I first started, I was given through the company like a mortgage banker at a couple different banks and a couple attorneys, and they knew what to do, and they'd been doing it for some other guys in my office. It wasn't until I had a situation that those guys couldn't do, but I wasn't willing to lose the deal, where I then had to find somebody, and somebody referred me to Scott and just said, listen, this guy's great, he can do a lot of things. It's gonna cost more, right? But that's what you pay for, to be able to have a mortgage broker that can actually get you the deal done when no one else can actually do it. And then those clients are typically willing to pay more. Like they'll pay more for your services if they've had 6 jobs in the last 12 months than they will if they have a clear W-2 for 10 years. And so that's how I met him, through a difficult deal. And when I don't use him, people will go, honestly, people come in with a lot of their own bankers. A lot of people will go to kind of your standard traditional banks, especially in New York City. A lot of them are private clients, private wealth. They use their own stuff, or they have second homes or first homes already, and they've got their things. And I just sort of have a list of people that I can refer to. But now I will refer you and everybody here. That's also part of the reason that I'm here, and I think is that the last question, right?
Last question, thank you.
Yeah. So like that's, I'll leave you with this. Like part of the reason that I flew, what is it going to be, like 11 hours today in the air to come here, is every time I do a speech like this, and I do a lot of them every month all around the world, this is now a referral base for me, right? And you guys are referral base for each other. One person from this room in the next 10 years is going to refer me a deal, I guarantee it. I was just referred a deal from a guy that I spoke to, in 2012, right? 2012 in Phoenix. He calls my office, and this just happened a couple months ago. He's like, listen, you're not going to remember me, but you came and spoke at this thing for a bank in Phoenix. I think it was 2012. Anyway, I've got a client that wants to move to New York. I told him you're my best friend. Is that okay? I'm like, we are best friends. Send him my way. Let's do it. And to him, his ability to tell his clients who's going to go to New York on his own to say, actually, listen, I'm best friends with Ryan Serhant from $1 Million Listing New York. I don't know if you've ever seen it or anything. He's the #1 real estate agent in New York over and over and over and over, and he's the best, and he's a good guy, and he works hard. Can I introduce him to you? It's an easy conversation for him to then have with his clients. And if the client didn't know anybody, the client was like, yeah, sure. Does he even have time for me? Sent the email over. I responded in 15 seconds. Right? That guy came through and bought an apartment for $8.4 million. That was a great referral for me. And I'll do that at any price point. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you for listening to my ridiculous story. I hope you had a great time. And when you have clients ready for New York or wherever, you send them my way. You good? All right, don't go spend all your money, okay? Be careful.
Thanks, Ryan.